Hello Void Dwellers. I recently came across this video by a young YouTuber who claims that Windows is nothing more than spyware. And he's going to prove it to you. Prove that whatever you type in Windows, Microsoft collects without your consent. Now, I'm not gonna share that video or say who it is because I have no interest in shaming him or anything like that. But what is interesting is that the video is quite successful for a beginner YouTuber with thousands of views and hundreds of comments. And they all agree with him and say that they knew that Microsoft was spying on them. The thing is, the evidence in the video is hilariously stupid. Just a case of someone talking about things they obviously know nothing about. See, what this kid does in the video is just show the calls that Windows does whenever you type something into the Windows search input. And why is that stupid? Well, because ever since Windows 10, or it could be as early as 8, I honestly don't remember, but definitely from 10 onwards, Microsoft has combined the Windows search with Bing search, making Windows search effectively a web browser. So now, when you type something into the search, the Windows search that is, Windows looks for something relevant on your machine, like an app you have installed or a file, and at the same time, it also uses Bing to search for what you typed. You can actually use Windows search like a search engine. You don't really need to open a web browser and go to Google or your favorite web search. You can just search directly into Windows search and it will behave like you did a search in Bing, because you did. And that is the point of that feature. Microsoft is trying to compete with Google, and it hopes to get people used to Bing and more trusting of Bing by making Bing an inseparable part of Windows, much like they did and quite successfully in the past with Internet Explorer. So all of those calls that the kid sees in the video every time you type are just queries to the Bing search engine with what you type. And hilariously, when he tries to see if it works in other things, he discovers that it doesn't. Nothing is being sent when you open an app or when you type something into an app that is not the search input of Windows. And still, the conclusion of the video is Windows is spying on you. And then he has this part where he says he'll show you how to minimize their spying. And what are his suggestions? Turning off in Windows configuration the option to give suggestions. Well, duh! If you tell Windows not to behave like Windows search is a Bing search, it won't behave that way. And still, the conclusion is Windows is spying on you. Now, let me recap. This kid did a video about a feature that Windows has that is not secret or nefarious, that is built in to make the user experience more interactive and get people used to the Bing search engine, that can be turned off and does nothing but send a query to Bing if you use the Windows search and only the Windows search. And the conclusion of this is Windows is spying on you. And the comment section is absolutely wild. The levels of stupidity there are insane. From people who think it's done to make computers slower, so you'll have to upgrade your hardware, to people who are panicking about, what are they doing with all the data they are stealing from us, dude? This is the essence of conspiracy theory thinking and tribal political thinking as well, by the way. It's the same exact mechanism in the human creature. You start with a conclusion, and then no matter what the evidence actually points at, no matter how illogical your theory is, everything just makes you righter. Like, for example, do you realize how impractical it would be for Microsoft to store everything every single user types in every app on Windows? How many computers on this planet run Windows? Billions? Can you imagine the size of the hard drive you'd need to collect billions upon billions of pieces of data on billions upon billions of users? Second, why would Microsoft care that you opened Notepad or Paint or whatever? That's just wasting resources on information they don't need. Third, what would you even do with all that information? The data that tech companies like Microsoft and Google collect from us is used for three main things. 1. Selling ads. 2. selling information to advertisers on what would make their ads work better. And 3, teaching AI and other products how users behave so they can offer better services that would make it easier to sell those people ads. That's it. The only thing that makes you freak out about it, about the data they are stealing, is if you have in your mind already that what is really going on is a shadowy evil government of probably Jews, let's be honest about that one, who are learning what people think to identify potential rebels, and the moment that you rebel against them, they'll send a drone with a vaccination that will take over your mind. So of course you should totally talk about it on social media. Have you ever noticed how those idiots with the most ridiculous, horrible, or stupid, or racist opinions that they completely freely pollute social media with are also the ones who are convinced someone is trying to take away their freedom of speech? Hey, idiots! If someone would have paid attention or cared, social media wouldn't have been the dumpster fire that it is thanks to you. And what really annoys me is that because of laws and regulations, especially here in Europe, all of these companies have ways for users to control what data is being collected, and they can also decide to delete the data. So what kind of a stupid conspiracy is that? I'm going to spy on all of you and use that information for my meticulous plan to take over the world. But only if you give me your consent, because I want a happy slave. And look, it's not that I'm not for privacy. Like I said in a different video, I don't use Google anymore for searches. I don't like that it collects everything and just sells me ads instead of quality search results. And I don't use Chrome or Edge or even Firefox. I use Brave, which is a browser that is supposed to block trackers. So once again, I'm not what people think I am. Just because I don't go to the extremes. Just because I like horror doesn't mean I have patience for trashy slashers. Just because I am a Zionist doesn't mean I support Israel and its government in everything they do. And just because I'm conscious of privacy and willing to pay to maintain it, doesn't mean I see spyware in everything I put on my PC. And by the way, if you're really that upset with Microsoft, go Linux. Why bother the internet with it? Just go Linux. To be honest, if I wasn't a gamer, I'd probably go full Linux a long time ago. Unfortunately, most games are not supported by that OS. But if you don't care about that, go Linux. Mint is probably the version you want if you want to feel very much at home. The point is, there are solutions to everything. We live in such an amazing time when we have more options than anyone in history, and people are just people. It's really shocking every time how many of our species are just so unreasonable and so deluded, just walking around so unaware, like NPCs. It's a wonder that they don't walk into walls. This is why I'm not bothered with not having too many views or subscribers. Don't get me wrong, I would have loved my message to have reached a larger audience. I don't like being a powerless, voiceless nobody. But I'm not bothered by it to the point of playing the game. Because let's face it, just from a statistical point of view, if your YouTube video is watched by thousands of people, chances that most of them are morons are higher than the chances that most of them are rocket scientists. That's why becoming a YouTube success is relatively easy, if you are willing to follow the rules, that is. You just need a bit of shameless sensationalism, the ability to do the same thing over and over and over and over again, and follow the current trends. Oh, and never ever speak outside of the manifesto. The algorithm likes it when you keep it familiar. And I don't just mean the YouTube algorithm, I mean the human algorithm. Most people would not like, share or subscribe to a channel that challenges their views, especially when they can't put you in a little box because you're not reading from the manifesto and you kinda agree with them on some things but challenge other things. So, for example, if you wanted to be a YouTube hit, you need to be either completely anti-trans and react to the most extreme and ridiculous cases and deny that actual body dysphoria even exists, or completely pro-trans, ignoring the obvious men who just put on a wig and a dress and try to push themselves into women's safe spaces, and call everyone who asks a reasonable question a bigot. Nothing in between. Or you need to be completely pro-Palestinian and completely adopt all the anti-Semitic tropes of history and conspiracy theories and ignore all the rights, history, and the suffering of Jews, or be a completely pro-Israeli and deny that the Palestinians even exist, let alone that they also have the human right of self-determination. No subtlety, not if you want them views. Or be completely against big tech companies and make video after video after video about how evil they are and all the evil shit they do, and forget about reality and the truth. Evidence? You can make it up as you go along. That's what winners do. Are you a winner? The point is, it's not hard to become a successful YouTuber if you don't mind lying to people, following the rules, and being a dancing monkey. As for me, I was never much of a dancer. So don't share, like, or subscribe. Just, be yourselves. Live your life. Do whatever the fuck you wanna do. But do use your brain. Don't believe every conspiracy theory and take a moment to think, does this make sense? Or am I just following the trail I want to find because I already know the ending? Until next time, Void Dwellers.